SpaceX's Starship SN11 rocket conducting its first test flight yesterday. It did not go as planned, though, for this particular SN11 rocket. The rocket reportedly destroyed in a hard landing. Not immediately clear what caused the crash, but it does follow a series of 4 unsuccessful launches for SpaceX of similar prototypes. The SN10 landed successfully after its launch, but then did later explode. So to discuss this, we want to bring in the resident expert here, Eric Mack, science and space freelance journalist. Eric, it's good to have you with us this morning. What happened yesterday? We were watching the live feed on Cheddar's air, and then we lost the live stream, as did everyone else. What happened?
Yeah, this is the most dramatic rocket explosion that nobody ever saw, because there was also a really dense fog bank. So even the cameras in the area that were pointed on the landing pad, all you caught was kind of an orange glow in the clouds. And so, what happened is this is a test program. And I think the folks at SpaceX would tell you they actually still consider this a success because they were able to launch this. It's still a prototype, this Starship SN11. That means serial number 11. So it's actually the 11th prototype they've worked on. And so they would tell you it's a success because they launched successfully and got ready for landing. And yes, they would have loved to have stuck the landing, but it didn't quite happen. It seems like there was something going on with the engines firing up for the landing burn again. So
interesting.
Actually,
we were showing, obviously this is imagery from yesterday, and we were showing, I believe those are the 3 engines. They were expected to turn off one by one once it did reach that altitude, its desired altitude of about 32,800 feet. It did actually reach that altitude, but as you mentioned, a hard landing that was not exactly how this company had planned to go, and us viewing the live stream couldn't see it because the live stream went out. It was a cloudy day. Did that have anything to do with it?
I don't think so. I can't tell you for sure. Some people, myself included, were a little surprised that they did go ahead with the launch in that dense fog, because you kind of assume that they would want to be able to see what's going on. But they're getting tons of data from the rocket itself through the telemetry and its connections to it. So I guess they thought that would be good enough, and they really wanted to see how this would go. There's a very hard push to get as many of these tests done as possible, because Elon Musk would like to see one of these make it to orbit for the first time as soon as July.
Okay, fascinating. That is a lofty goal. What are the steps that need to happen between now and July to make that happen?
Well, the next one that flies, they're actually going to skip from SN11 to SN15. So they're actually throwing out a couple of prototypes in between and skipping to SN15, which is a significantly more advanced version. They've gone ahead and implemented some improvements. And so they're hoping that this next one, I think, will be the first one to actually stick the landing and get much closer to that goal of making orbit.
What is so challenging about sticking the landing? What advanced parts does this one have, the SN15, that could make it easier?
Well, Elon Musk and a lot of other people are famous for saying space is really hard. It's really hard to send anything up to, it goes up to for these tests, the same altitude where jets will cruise. And then to bring it back in for a soft landing, we never really did that before SpaceX and Jeff Bezos's company Blue Origin. NASA typically just, threw all the rockets in the ocean when they were done with them. So this is kind of still a new frontier to actually bring something down from space for a soft vertical landing. There's a lot of engineering that goes into that and getting it just perfect. They've come really close, but as you saw, even just that little bit of a hard landing on the last one, it still exploded 5 minutes later because it wasn't soft enough.
Right. And obviously the goal of this is to send both humans and cargo to the moon and Mars. So you got to hope that they can get one of those soft landings sooner rather than later, if that is still yes, exactly, the expedited plan. I'm just curious here in terms of these next steps, this latest one reaching an altitude of 32,800 feet. You mentioned that in the future, by July, they're trying to get to orbit. How much higher would that be?
Significantly higher. So generally, the accepted boundary for space is about 100 kilometers, and this was 10 kilometers. So an order of magnitude 10 times higher.
You think he can do it?
He's typically a little behind his own schedule in his mind. So I imagine they'll get there. July seems like a bit of a heavy lift, especially since, things haven't gone perfectly as we've seen. But so maybe sometime this year. I don't know about July. We'll see.
Okay. All right, Eric, we got to leave it there. That's Eric Mack, science and space freelance journalist, talking to us about that hard landing for the SpaceX Starship rocket yesterday.